Welcome everyone to this month's community call, More Than an Honored Womb Circle. I invited the community to come and participate in what's usually a members only space to discuss this super important topic, building period positive communities. And to build period positive communities, we all have a role to play. So it only made sense to bring the community to the call. And so for those of you who weren't able to join us live, I hope that you will still find benefit from the recording and still bring forth your ideas and your questions and your inquiries so that this becomes an ongoing conversation. I did not grow up in a period positive community. I did not grow up in a period positive household. And so I can't necessarily tell you what the roadmap is because I'm still on the road with my own family and my own self. So I'm still very open to other people's input and suggestions and examples to add to this discourse. In our honored womb circles, we have 3 sacred agreements that we agree to. The first is to show up with full presence as much as possible. And so what that could look like is just bringing all of your attention here. If for whatever reason you can't be on camera for the moment, that's fine. But as much as possible, giving your attention and bringing the most of yourself to this space, because that's the circle, right? If somebody the tension shifts, it shifts the circle too. So if we can focus our attention and keep it together, then we can keep the integrity of a circle intact. Our other agreement is that we honor ourselves. So if you need something, if you need to excuse yourself, tend to your family, go to the bathroom, get something to eat. If you're not in the presence of mind to follow along with this conversation right now, want to come back for the recording later, that's perfectly fine. And the third agreement is that you honor each other. Whatever is shared in this space remains in this space, especially if people share personal information or ask questions. There's no belittling or judging of one another. And so if we all agree to the sacred agreements, you can put your hand up as a reaction. I can't see anybody on video right now, so a hand in the chat would be helpful. We have agreement getting there. Does everyone else? We got some clapping hands. Did we get everyone? Any others? And we have some consent in the chat. Thank you. Thank you all for consenting and agreeing, and we'll proceed. So I think it's really important to not imagine that we can be a part of fostering and cultivating period positive communities without being critical of our own period story and our own period perception. I often tell people that even though we would like to think we're teaching from our brains, like our minds and the information that we have, we actually do a lot of teaching from our state, from our experience, from our lived reality and practice. And so critical to the conversation, and we won't have time to explore this together here right now, but getting clear on how you personally feel about your period. Many of us want period positivity for our children, the youth in our community, our nieces, our younger sisters, but we also have to be clear and honest with how we are modeling or struggling with being period positive ourselves. So we can't really step into that role in community until we have a really honest audit with ourselves. And it doesn't mean that you can't support others in having a positive period when you still are kind of low-key hating your period or having negative feelings about it. But it does mean we have to be honest, and we have to not mask or think we can pretend that we genuinely feel good about our bodies and about our menstrual cycles. And so some of the questions for your own self-inquiry would look like, how do you feel about your period? What is your response when your period comes? What is that first reaction, the first thought in your mind, the first utterance from your mouth, the first shift in your body posture? Is there a joyfulness? Is there an appreciation? Is there a resentment? Is there a disgust, a sigh, a frustration, feeling limited or feeling expanded? These are real questions we need to ask ourselves. And then how are we caring for our period? Part of how we value something is how we care for it. We can't say that we value our period and we do nothing to protect it, to care for it, to honor it, to treat um, treat our period as if it's a time of any significance or value. So in the chat, Sadaf shares, Alhamdulillah, when I see red, relaxation mode on, right? So for some of us, it might be that trigger or that reminder that it's a time for retreat and self-care and slowing down and rest. And we might receive that with joy. But depending on what our story is about our period or what beliefs we were taught or what ideas we have, we might have a different feeling. We might be frustrated about the things that we feel that we are limited in doing or can't do because we have a period. So these are questions for your personal inquiry. Irfana shares, when I get my period, I feel so feminine, like a reminder I'm a woman in this tough, crazy world. Yes. It is a very feminine reality, right? The fact that you have this whole universe of experiences happening inside of you. And then from the individual, how as a family, like if we are in family units, whether it's our nuclear family or our extended family, how do we bring forth period positivity? So this is an actual picture. A mother in our community hosted a period party at her home for her daughters and their friends, and they made these peaceful period kits last year. And if you can see, they've got some herbal tea. It's ginger tea, and there's these dark chocolate snacks, and they've got their warm period socks. And I really loved how she was building a conversation about how we care for our periods and how we prepare for them so that it's something that we know is worth looking forward to. So as a family, that can begin with puberty preparation. I had a beautiful coaching session with a client today, and we were talking about our ideas about menstruation. And she said to me that, when I was growing up, I thought that when I saw blood, I thought I was dying. And then she asked someone else, and they had the same exact response. And I remember one of my closest friends growing up said the same thing. We were both just marveling at, like, how can we as a community, as a family, as a parent, how do you see all the changes of puberty happening and not give any heads up of what's to come or what this means or why things are changing? Why are you developing breasts? Why are you growing hips? Why are you gaining weight? Why are you getting taller? Why are you growing body hair? All of these things are so evident, but I don't know this idea of like, just don't say anything, just don't say anything. And then like period comes and the young lady doesn't know what's happening, why it's happening. So I think that it really serves us to prepare girls for the reality that their body is going to start changing and to what end, what is it for? Normalize the fact that a period is coming and this is part of what makes you a female. And these changes are to prepare you one day for womanhood and what that could look like and feel like. I also think part of period positivity is actually celebrating menstruation. If you've been following the content I've shared on Instagram, I was sharing that there's an Indigenous researcher and professor who shared research about how girls were losing, just plummeting. Their self-esteem was plummeting. Their confidence, not self-esteem, was dropping after puberty, while boys' confidence was slightly increasing. And the research she cited, they said, we don't know why girls' confidence drops after they go through puberty. But in her own assessment, it was so evident that it had to do with the period and the fact that this thing is happening to you. You're supposed to conceal it. You're not supposed to talk about it. It's shameful. It's dirty. Don't let anyone get any sight of a pad, any whiff of any menstrual blood. And that stress is something that she saw as a cause for the loss of confidence. And she tested her theory by reviving. She connected the period shame to the lack of coming of age ceremonies. So these ceremonies that celebrate the rite of passage of menstruation. And so she tested her theory, and she was a part of an effort to revive coming of age ceremonies in her tribe in Northern California. And what they found was that confidence was not dropping after puberty when girls heard positive stories about menstruation. when they had coming of age ceremonies. And the two are connected, but also separate too, right? Hearing positive, it's almost like for those of you who have experienced birth, you can hear people telling you all kinds of crazy stories about birth, but there's something that shifts in you when you hear a positive story. It just shows a possibility. You don't know what your own experience is going to actually be like, but you realize how it just doesn't serve, this to build up this fear and this worry and this, oh my gosh, it's going to be so horrible. And it creates this fear, this palpable tension and resistance and frustration. And so this is the idea that when we celebrate something, that means it's not shameful. You don't celebrate what's shameful, right? It's like that's kind of like the exact opposite. So we get to address that period shame and challenge it by celebrating when girls have their first period. And it doesn't always have to look like a, a big party. So Takia is sharing that she had rites of passage celebrations for her daughters, for both of her daughters, and it was beautiful. Irfana said that she, as a young adult, she read in an Islamic book, "Never let your husband see your dirty blood." So I'm always confused. And, there's a lot of ideas that we need to challenge and question, where are they coming from? What do they mean for us? And legitimate question Taki is asking, was that author a man? So celebrating menarche, or the first period, is such a valuable way to foster period positivity and combat period shame, period preparation. So preparing young women, young girls to know that they are going to have a period, and then have like an actual active practice of having a period kit ready, knowing how to use period products before you need them, right? Knowing how to prepare, knowing what things that are going to be supportive, and having kits like what's shared here, period care itself, right? Making space and having conversations for how to care for yourself uniquely while you're menstruating, and giving space for rest, for warmth, for herbal teas, for slowing down, for keeping your feet warm. These are period care practices that actually impact the experience of your period, including the products you use. So many women have found that when they switch to organic, non-toxic period products, or even reusable period products, things change for them. Many women will report that when they stopped using tampons, they had less cramping and less pain, because their body wasn't trying to force this object out of their body. And so period products are also another way that we can promote period positivity, as well as normalizing period products, right? That they're available in the home. If they're reusable, then they can go in the laundry too, that it's not this big secret that's to be concealed. And that's another way that we can foster period positivity in our families. As a culture, I often think of what are the ways that we're making space for menstruating women to feel included and considered, right? What does that look like, and what does that mean? If there are spaces where women can be present. So for example, we know in prayer spaces and in masajid and mosques, there are different conversations around which spaces are suitable to be in when one is menstruating. And are we creating culture and communities with that in mind, that even when someone's menstruating, there's still space for them to participate in the community. They're not shut off, they're not isolated, they're not excluded. How are we considering their needs? What's available for menstruating women? How do we respond when someone has an unexpected period? How do we support them? And even when we're in our interpersonal spaces and our work spaces and our study spaces, how do we look out for one another when someone's menstruating? Do we make that cup of tea? I know if I have someone at my house who is on their period, the first thing you're going to see me do is have them lay down. I'm going to make sure they're fed. I'm going to grate some fresh ginger tea for them. I'm going to care for them, because that's part of caring for a community, is realizing that menstruation matters and we don't need to just act like it's not happening. We can lighten that load, and it does something for other women to know, like, oh, you see me and you see what I'm going through, and you're lightening the load for me. That it could also look like, if some of us are entrepreneurs, or even in workspaces, how do we consider the needs of menstruating women in our circle and in our exchanges? So Takia is sharing that, yeah, the period product really changed. Completely agree with period products being a shift. Mirha saying, I want my son to know about menstruation too and to learn to support his future wife. My husband buys cherry compote for me because he knows it makes it easier for me. I also think the fact that we are not allowed to enter masjids when we are menstruating, labeled as impure, makes the label stronger even at home. How do we translate this? And so I think here it's always, one thing that I learned from Sheikh Shaista Maqbool when we had Women Wellness Week last year. She mentioned a really beautiful hadith about a man who was actually hiding from the Prophet Muhammad SAW because he was in a state of janaba. He was in a state of ritual impurity, and he had not yet washed himself and made ghusl. So he didn't want to give salam to the Prophet SAW because he was in this state. So he was hiding from him. And the Prophet ﷺ was looking for him, like, where is he? And then eventually his location was made known. And he explained to the Prophet ﷺ, I did, I'm in a state of janaba and I didn't want to greet you or give the salam. And he said, the mu'min, the believer, is not najis, right? The believer is not impurity. There's a difference between being in a state of ritual impurity that's very different from being impure, right? Moral impurity is different from ritual impurity. And so I think that is important about how we use language. To call someone impure is not really positive language, right? That's not positive language at all. Might be there are other ways. I've even heard conversations, and for those of you who are at Period Powered Ramadan, you might have heard me share this account. There was a sheikh was, at a gathering. It was time for prayer, and one of the young ladies, as everyone was assembling for prayer, she said, ma alayya salah, like the prayer is not an obligation upon me right now, to imply that she was menstruating. And he said, don't say that. Say ana fi salah. Say I am in the prayer, because there's a hadith that makes reference to a conversation about. So there were men who were waiting for the Prophet ﷺ to pray. They wanted to pray with him, and he said to them, the one who prays a prayer and waits in longing for the next prayer, it's as if they've never left the prayer. So he was saying that to comfort her, that, this idea of, I think it's really powerful. Language has a lot to do with how we perceive things. Because I remember when I first became Muslim, I would hear women saying, ana fi ijaza, like I'm on holiday or I'm on a vacation, implying that they're not praying, fasting, etc. But vacation from what? What does that mean? So again, even saying things like, I'm in a state of prayer, or I'm excused from the prayer, language matters. And I think, again, part of being agents of period positivity is being critical and attentive to how we use words, how we talk about menstruation, how we respond to it, how we respond to the idea of it, the sight of it, the smell of it, our engagement with it. Like, we have to check ourselves and all the things that we're bringing to the conversation. And then on an organizational level, I'm thinking about, how do we accommodate menstruating women? How many of you, I'm really curious to hear, did you have period products available for you in school, paid or free? Were there
Uh,
dispensers?
that is a very good question. Did they? That's oh my gosh, you really had uh, I think they well, I know that they did have, oh, I take that back. You know when the what is it called? The when you go into the girls' bathroom, they have you pay like 50 cents, right? With
Those
like for a
the
period, like
coins.
for a pad or whatever it's
Mhm.
called, or a tampon, which in my opinion is very like, why do I have to pay for something that I
Mhm.
need? But that's a whole nother conversation. But
Yeah.
I know my school did, or I've seen it where even in some women's bathrooms that I've been to as well, you pay like 50 cents or something and you get like a pad or a tampon. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the chat, some of you are saying no. Yes, we had vending machines. Yes. Free products given when I was 11 with classes by nurses. Yes, but from school office, dispensers were always empty. I've been curious about if there's legislature around that. In Canada, in my high school, they had condom dispensers, not period product dispensers. How
Oh
interesting.
wow. Oh
The
wow. That
every year,
wow. That
Kotex and Whisper used to promote their products. Yep, there's a lot of marketing there. My daughters currently are college students, and they have free organic products in the bathroom. Do they
oh
have
wow.
family products in their bathroom? By
Wait, did they wait, they had condoms? What? I mean,
condom
not
dispensers?
wow, that's different. Okay, well that I'm not
Yeah.
not saying it's not great, but I'm just saying like that is I know from
Yeah.
my school that was not the
That was not
case
going
at
to
all.
happen. And I mean, the
No.
same is true even for, I'm curious even also about, like, just give me a show of hands. Have you ever seen free period products available in a place of worship?
Mm-mm.
Aisha, your hand's been up for a while. I'm assuming it, maybe
No.
I can lower it for you. But yeah, anybody in a place of worship? I can't think of
No.
that either. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen
I
that, but it's
think
something to think about.
I
We're,
think I think it's gotten I'm sorry, kind of
Mhm.
interject here. I think it's gotten better, right? With in terms of how sex education is in very like religious spaces. I know this is more Islamic centered, but I'm just saying like as I think it's gotten better, right? But at the same time, it's like, the whole, and I'm not gonna get too much into it. I'm not trying to take up the whole space or anything, but it's like it's at the same time, it's like they don't want people to have, let's just say, certain I'm just going to say intercourse, right? But at the same they don't want to educate people at the same, or the education is only after marriage, when it's just like I don't think that's really helpful, because what if you don't get married, right? So I feel like that's a whole nother conversation itself. and i
Mhm.
and I feel like the whole thing, I think another reason why I think some places of worship, right, or some place, don't want to talk about or give sex education or advanced biology, has some that call it, because it may promote people to have it more, which, in my opinion, that doesn't make any sense at all,
Sure.
because it's just, I mean, to me, it's kind of like, okay, like to me, I kind of related to, okay, like knowing about alcohol, right? That doesn't mean
Mhm.
you're going to go out there and start drinking. Like you want
True.
to know, right? Like, like just because, like, okay, you love drinking and driving, right? We know that's bad, right? But doesn't mean you have to go out there and try it yourself, right?
True,
Like
but
that
in this
is,
case, it's
yeah,
a non-optional thing, right? Menstruation is not something that's optional. It's not I can
right,
choose to engage in intercourse or
right.
alcohol or not. It's something. So many of you are saying weren't available in primary school, but could ask for them at the office. Same in secondary school and college. We had dispensers, or we knew when we knew we could take our own in. No, I haven't seen any in a mosque. I don't think so, but we each can change that. Wow, you just brought a great idea to mind. Bring the need to faith leaders that we need feminine products in the bathroom. I guess because they assume a woman with period won't go for worship. Well, and I also think it depends. And I've experienced in the function that a mosque or Islamic center serves in a Muslim country, in different countries and different cultures, the masjid, the Islamic center has different functions. And so again, it's not just a prayer space in many places, and it's a community space. It's a place where people are homeschooling and organizing and having classes and having lessons, even outside of religion, like, people go for Sunday schools and after school study. Right now, Muslim food banks in Canada are asking openly for feminine hygiene products as donations for low income families in Canada. That's amazing. So
That's
yeah,
not
that's a part. Who's speaking?
Yeah. And I feel
I
like too with,
wanted
oh,
to add
One
something
moment,
into the
Talia.
okay.
First of
Uh,
all, I just wanted to point out that's Justice right there in the red coat. but
hey.
so, well, as we're talking about feminine products being made readily available in public spaces like schools, even our jobs, Islamic worship, places of worship. Um, at my job, so I'm the custodian, so I clean the bathrooms and everything. So what I've started doing for the women is that I had excessive supply of sanitary napkins. So I was like, I'm not going to use all of these, and these aren't the ones that I use. So I took them to work, and every so often I'll refill them and put it in the bathroom. And what was so strange is that we had some older women that complained about them being in the bathroom. One comment that I overheard was that, oh, my husband has never seen my product that I use, and I'm thinking to myself, well, that's the women's
What?
that's the women's bathroom. The men
Hmm.
don't use that bathroom. But I could clearly see that some people were, appreciative that they were in there because I could tell that they had been being used. And just to keep the noise down, once I had gotten rid of the 2 packs that I brought to work, I didn't bring any more in. But a girl came to me the other day and asked for some. So I'm like, well, obviously there's any here. So I'm just going to cater to those that appreciate it and not pay any mind to those that are naysayers.
Mm. Although it's good on you for taking initiative, and that's something that when we think about providing period products, there's period dispensers where the cost is on the consumer, but there's also the possibility of organizations sponsoring period products and making them available for the community. And that's something that we can think about in our organizations. Also on the level of menstrual leave, right? What could that look like? In certain countries, they have policies around menstrual leave where you can get off for a day, up to 4 days, depending on the country. If you're having a challenging time, it's time that you can use for tending to yourself while you're on your menstrual cycle. So I'm just going to wrap up, Talia, and then I'll open the floor again in a moment, inshallah. So, these are just some of the ways that we can even think about on an organizational level, ways that we can contribute to and foster period positivity, talking to administration, and just imagining what it would be like. I know there are certain school districts, I believe, Reviving Islamic Sisterhood, I think, in Michigan. No, they're in Minnesota. And they were able to lobby for girls to have free period products in a particular school district. So it's something that can be done. And really, I don't know what the legislation is on it, but it really is like a basic human right. There are people who don't have money for period products, right? They're choosing between buying food and buying pads. And that's a real issue of period poverty. And it's something that we can be thinking about in the organizations where we participate or where we have input or administrate or boards or wherever. How can we make our organizations more accommodating for menstruating women, having period products, giving space when people need to take leave, for example, if they're having a really difficult time. So I'm just going to share a couple of ideas of support that could be helpful in this shift. We are offering and supporting women in organizing book clubs. So having a Peaceful Periods book clubs, it kind of takes some of the pressure off of having to find a teacher or educator. It's just really getting people together to talk, read, and discuss together. We're going into Menstrual Health Awareness Month. May 28th is Global Menstrual Hygiene Day. And also Period Poverty Awareness Week is also in May. So that's why I'm calling all of May Menstrual May. I'm calling it Menstrual May because it's a time where there's this focused attention on menstruation, but what are we actually doing about it? Are we having conversations? Are we educating girls in a positive way that makes them look forward to their periods or even know how to respond to them? Or are we parroting the same narrative that periods are horrible? It's part of being a woman. It's normal for them to be painful, heavy, clotted, cramping, difficult, and all of the above. That's not a message that empowers or even really serves girls and women, right? Then when we have these years of normalized, painful, heavy, difficult periods, it's an indicator of a hormonal issue or a self-care issue that needs to be addressed. And if it doesn't go addressed, it results in some other kind of diagnosis, circumstance, or situation later in life. And so we have an opportunity by just offering helpful menstrual education from the start. So we're supporting communities and facilitating. For anyone in Atlanta, you might see yourself there. We have one package where it would include 15 discounted copies of the book. So my book, Peaceful Periods, Holistic Wound Care for Teens, would be offered at 20% discount. We'll have a live facilitator workshop on May 15th. It includes discount on peaceful periods and happy hormones. This is a course that I teach, a 6-module masterclass that I teach about balancing your hormones and having healthier periods and how to support yourself. It includes a 1-hour author meet and greet, so we can do a virtual session with the community that you're facilitating a book club in. So even if you feel like I'm not the one to do this, I want you to have this information. If there's a book club that's already happening, then how can we get peaceful periods into that book club? It could be a book club for preteens. It could be for teens. It could be for adult women, right? Women who are not yet married. Because again, our menstrual cycle impacts every aspect of our life. It's not just when someone wants to have a baby or when it's a problem, right? Your experience of your menstrual cycle impacts your health and your well-being. And of course, that can impact everyone around you. So there's an opportunity to have a community package for the book club that includes a virtual session and the books, a facilitator workshop, which will be live and taught on May 15th. And all of that's available for $495. If you don't necessarily want a virtual session and just want to get the books and get into community with your folks and start reading together, this is an option without the virtual session for $250. And it's just a way to really package and give momentum. If you're thinking about starting a book club, this is the lowest discount we're giving for this number of books. And so we're just trying to figure out how to get the word out. And so if you're thinking about a book club or if you want to facilitate it, these are a couple of options and ideas to get that started in your community. As I shared earlier, our first book club is happening right now in Chicago. The second one is slated to start in Malawi. So we're hoping to have peaceful periods book clubs pollinating all over the planet, wherever you are. So a couple of other ideas I wanted to share. If at any point you've ever thought about asking your workspace, your worship space, or any other space about having free period products. So Femly, this is a period product brand founded by Arian Long. We're going to have a live chat this week on Instagram, and there's going to be giveaways as well. But they have a really innovative model for getting period product dispensers into organizations. So they're partnering with USF, like universities, the NFL. They've partnered with all of these different organizations, and they are able to give you a very easy to set up dispenser. They have bulk sale of their pads. They have organic pads and tampons, and they're on a mission to make organic period care really affordable and super accessible. So you can join us this Thursday on Instagram for this conversation. There will be a live giveaway. I'll be giving away 2 copies of my books, and they'll be giving away 2 packages of Femly products. So it'll include pads, a water bottle, and a Femly bag. And then you can just learn about what their organization is doing. And to win the giveaway, you can nominate your community for like, where would you want to see free period products? And so once you nominate your community, then they can reach out to them and see if they would be open to having period products available. The book club in Chicago is for teens, and it's taking place at MCC. I don't know if it's the Muslim community of Chicago, maybe. Can the book be sent to Bosnia? Yes. And at the moment, the books are not available in the UK. The books print on demand. So for UK orders, they print in the UK. For US orders, they print in the US. And for other countries, whichever country is closest. So I don't have any retailers in the US right now, but the books are available on my site, honoredwomb.com. And then another idea to contribute to this vision, and then we'll open the floor again for discussion, is that if you know that you want to be an agent of change, if you feel this connection to womb work, womb wellness, supporting women as they understand their menstrual cycles and womb healing, there is a retreat happening next month. It's in Spain, and Zahra is in Andalusia. And we're having this amazing retreat for women who want to consider stepping into the work of womb wellness for their communities, for themselves, for their community. There are 2 spaces remaining, so I just wanted to mention that if you have any interest in deepening your understanding of womb wellness in a community of Muslim women, we're 4 practitioners who are going to be presenting everything from the physiologic, hormonal, nutritional side of the womb, as well as the spiritual and holistic perspective of the womb. And so we'll be hosting that in Spain next month. And to get more information about the book club, you can go to honoredwomb.com/book club. And then to have more information about the retreat, you can go to buttocaswomb.com/womb101. I would love to go. You can come. We're down to the last 2 spots. So yeah, I'll open the floor back up. Talia, did you want to add? Do you remember your thought from earlier? Did you want to add?
Yeah, I just had like just 2 things. What person, I forgot what was the person that was the custodian. I just find it very I would say discouraging, right? It's just like, okay, because I don't think anybody, right, and doesn't want to basically have menstruation right all over their clothes, right? Like I feel like, so to the fact that this person say, well, my husband's never seen a pads, I'm just like, that sounds like a marriage issue, to be honest. If you feel like you have this individual, right, has to hide from their husband that they are, menstruating, that this is honestly very discouraging, to be honest. And then my other kind of well, honestly, despicable, that sounds like a lot of underlying issues in general. But another thing I wanted to point out as well is about, what was something else I was going to try to point out. Oh, instead of the alcohol, that was like a bad analogy. I was going to say it's like from earlier, it's like basically, learn about diabetes, right? But that doesn't mean you're going to go out and start eating cookies and cakes, drinking Mountain Dew. So I feel like I guess my point is that with sex health in general, right, I kind of look at it like it's the same thing with physical health, right? Or any type of health, right? Because all of this one correlates to the other. So it's just another thing, I'm not trying to get on the podium and try to teach, but that's how I kind of feel about it. Because even some things for me, there's some things that I'm unlearning, right, about when it comes to sexual education or even with mental health, right? So there's some things that even for me, I'm trying to unlearn and unpack. So that's just another thing I wanted to point out as well.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Nafisa, did you want to share something? Okay. You just coming on camera. Good to see you. Did anyone else have any thoughts or Nafisa, you was gonna say something?
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure I was participating by at least showing my face.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Did any other thoughts or ideas to add to what was shared here? These were just some of the ideas that I came up with. Or if you have questions about the book club, or do you think your community would welcome or want a book club? I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on those ideas?
So, I have another question about, you said okay, do they have book clubs for, I guess, adults, like the one that you were, do they have one? I know you said that there's one for teens. Is there one for adults as well, or no?
They are right now, from what I know, this is a teen book club. So
Oh.
the adult one is the one you start.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah, I just thought, I just wanted to know because of course, I'm not a teen, so
Mhm. No, I'm
I
just
don't have no children either. So,
that's all right though, but you got your girlfriends, and even if you can't think of 15 books as, having that many people who are interested or wanting to join, like even just having a book discussion with your friends, with your
mhm.
girlfriends, who are people you want to be in conversation and have a dialogue with around these topics is still really valuable.
Yeah, what was the name of it? The Muslim
MCC. I don't,
MCC. Yeah, where is that in Chicago?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. but I can just email, if you email me, I'll put my email in the chat and I can see if I can get it to you. Is there anyone who we haven't heard from yet who'd like to share what thoughts are coming up for you, whether it's, or where do you feel like feels like a priority to you, period positivity on your individual level, your family level, community, organizational?
I actually do have a question. So for the book club for teens, it says there is a online facilitator. So
Workshop.
that person would be you,
Yes.
I'm assuming. No?
Yeah, I'm teaching the workshop. I'm not facilitating. I'm facilitating a workshop for the women who will facilitate the book club.
Okay. So who's going to be the facilitator for the book club is I guess what I'm trying to
You?
ask. Okay. So, okay. That's what I thought I understood. I just wanted to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then I would have to, if that's what I'm going to do, I would be working with you to
Mm-hmm.
be trained to be the facilitator for the book club. That's what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. And the workshop, it's optional. It's not, I don't think that, to get people together, to read together and
Mhm.
discuss it doesn't necessarily require it, but some people are not used to facilitating. So it's just going to be a workshop about facilitation skills and understanding that your role is not to be a teacher. There's a difference between teaching in a space and facilitating. And if there's any questions or intimidation about, well, what if certain topics come up that are sensitive, and kind of working through ways to handle that? Because with peaceful periods, it just sticks to physiology. It's not a sex ed book. It's not a gender education book. It's just, this is what's happening in the female body. So some people might feel like they need some support in figuring out how they're going to plan it, what's the best way to manage the content, scheduling. So it would be to go through those kind of logistics just so that people feel really supported and confident in getting started.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other thoughts, reflections, questions? So then I'll stop the recording.